PNR with Adam R. Welcome to 3PNR. I'm your host, Adam R. And on this episode, I have Claire O'Regan. How you doing, Claire?
Hi. Good, thanks.
Claire, you're in the UK, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Good, good. So your experiences are going to be more of, and I've been reading more of this. There's differences in the experiences from Western United States area to the UK and then even in Asia, different experiences. Is that something you've heard of?
Yeah, sure. So different religions and cultures.
Right. What set you down the path of, investigating UFOs, paranormal and otherwise?
Okay, so when I was 10 years old, I was at boarding school and I had my first paranormal experience. And about every 5 years, which was horrific, really terrified me. And then every 5 years, I'd have a really frightening experience. And it wasn't sleep paralysis, because sleep paralysis, you can't move, you're paralyzed. But I could move about in my experiences. So in the end, to stop being so afraid of it, I joined a circle for like physical mediumship development to, become more accustomed to it and sort of not be so afraid.
More in preparation for what's going on, right?
Yeah. So it basically learned that spirits or paranormal is possibly just people that you were here alive once and have passed on. And if you're not afraid of anyone while you're alive, why would you be afraid of them because they've passed on? So my fear, I lost the fear. And that's how I got into the paranormal. Well,
that's a good thing. Yeah. Shedding your fear of it's a good thing. I think
absolutely.
The biggest thing about fear, it's mostly because we don't understand, right? When we don't understand something, we're afraid of it. Only because it's mysterious. That's why people are afraid of death. The question is, what happens to us afterward? And I've hosted I've talked to a lot of people about afterlife, experts and people in the field, experiencers, a lot of off podcast interviews. And there's definitely a lot of similarity with the paranormal and afterlife. And there's a lot of parallels with UFOs and paranormal, I'm finding as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So in your experience with the paranormal, the entity, it was not a pleasant experience. Was it something tormenting you?
It just terrified me. The feeling I had some pretty horrific experiences. I was hit around the head with a book in the middle of the night. And I woke up to what felt like a rubber glove that you do the washing up with.
Right.
So it's like somebody had blown one of those up and was smacking me back and forth across my ear. And I woke up, ran out the room with my dog, following my dog. My dog ran out first. And we sat there till daylight. And it wasn't until then that I went back into the room and saw it was a book that had come from the other side of the room, and there was like a little slot missing where the book had come out from. Unfortunately, I didn't read the page it was on. I wish I had now, looking back. But I think they're all messages. I think because of what was going on in my life, maybe it was a message from a family member.
Well, imagine this. Imagine someone that they're passed on. They're trying to communicate with you. You're not paying attention to them, and they're aggravated. And
absolutely.
And from what I learned so far about spirits in the afterlife, that it's just pure energy, and they can only do things manipulating pure energy. And so for them to get your attention, I guess for them, slap them with a book. I mean, everyone has different experiences, and it's not far off from what I hear from other people.
Yeah, so the fear went because I realized, they're probably just messages. And then I was able to look back at all the experiences and realize, I understand now. I understand what was being portrayed to me.
Yeah. I mean, if you're getting the message, did anything stop when you started being more open to it?
I haven't had an experience like that since I lost the fear.
All right.
So they went on for most of my life, like probably every 5 years. I'm quite old now, I'm 50. So since I sort of became more familiar with it, understood it, wasn't frightened anymore, I haven't had one of those experiences in the middle of the night.
And this set you down a path of research then, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It just makes you want to learn more and know more. And it's exciting.
Oh, it's a fascinating subject. It's what got me doing a podcast, you know? So
yeah,
let's go down this route. So years ago, you had these experiences and you start investigating. Obviously you've met with a group of people doing so.
Yes.
What are your discoveries in other words, what did you discover about the afterlife? What have you learned about ghosts so far?
I think there's just such a variety when we talk about ghosts. I've had experiences with black shadows, stick men, and then I think the UFOs and it's all one thing, all one energy. So I guess I've learned we're probably there's another dimension that is overlapping on ours. And if you look for it,
makes sense.
Pick it up.
You know, I said this to a number of people. This planet's 4 billion years old. We don't know what lived here before us, right? So we make room for the idea that some of the energies that are roaming around here, passed on, they're not human. And then there's the human aspect. And you look at humanity as a whole. I mean, we're not bad people, but we're not great either, right? So
I agree.
And a lot of the paranormal people, the majority, I should say, not all of them, the majority of the paranormal people I speak to, as you are here is as you are when you pass on, right? Your personality, your traits, the things that the very fabric of who you are. So you pass on and you're a good person. Maybe you graduate to that next level and you don't linger behind, right? Because I personally, I personally think Earth is a proving ground for us. And then there's, places you go thereafter.
I agree. I think we could be the same souls that are just reincarnated over and over again. We've been here since the beginning of time. And I guess that's why people think of others as older souls, or because we've got to keep coming back until we learn everything we've got to learn, like love, compassion, forgiveness.
Right. Not only that, but let's say you did a lot wrong in this life. And in order for you to, or I guess how the universe would look at it, you did a lot wrong here. We're going to recycle you and you're going to try again. And or you did so much right here, we kind of need you to be here again for the next generation and recycled again.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And apparently it said we agreed to come back.
Right.
Although while we're here having a tough time, we're like, I'm never coming back. But if you got to be with all the people you were with and meet, spend time with all the people and you have your family, you probably would come back again.
Yeah.
Just to be around those people. But when I was about 19, I had a partial out-of-body experience. And I started coming out of my body. I got myself in some sort of meditative state by accident. Didn't know anything about out-of-body experiences. And I was in bed with my partner and I was actually pretending to be like fall asleep because he was ignoring me. So I thought,
avoid that unnecessary
it didn't work. I could hear the TV on, took no notice at all, didn't even notice. So after a while I thought, oh, forget this. So I went to turn really quickly to him. And at that point I realized I was paralyzed. And I thought I died, and that's the fear actually brought me out of the experience. But I was moving out towards my feet, and the reason I knew that is because I was looking up, and all I could see, or what I could see in my view, was the light in the ceiling, and I could see it moving up, past me. So I knew I was traveling out. I was probably looking at the light from my waist area. And because I didn't know anything about it, I'd heard that we have a silver cord. And if somebody tries to wake you up while you're having this experience, you can't get back in your body. So I was freaking inside, thinking I've either died or this has happened. And next thing, it snapped me back and I was back in my body. And of course, tried to tell my partner, and he was like, "Oh, okay." But it was incredible. I felt more awake, more alive, more alive.
At that point, it's because it's your full consciousness at work, right? All the biology attached to you is no longer there. The consciousness at play. You know,
yeah.
The human mind is powerful, very powerful.
I know. So it's really hard to debate whether it happened, whether I imagined it. Well, it was an incredible experience I've never forgotten, and I tried for so many years to get to be able to do it again. It's really hard, really hard.
Was there perhaps like, so you were saying that your partner and you were having probably a disagreement, right? You're ignoring one another.
No. We'd been out, had a really nice evening, and I'd had a cocktail, and he was just being a man, flicking through the TV channels.
Oh, I see.
I wanted some attention, so I thought, look, if he sees, I was very, very young. If he sees me going to sleep, he'll pay me some attention. But I obviously got myself into a sort of trance or meditative state by keeping still. And I was mimicking my breathing to make me sound like I was falling asleep.
You were meditating. So you didn't even realize it.
I didn't even realize it. And then, that's what happened.
And the majority of the people I speak to. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying, the most of the people I speak to about meditation, you described exactly what they do. You're, focusing on your breathing. You're trying to clear your mind. And when I say focusing, you could focus on anything. When you're meditating, you're focusing for purpose. In your case, you were focusing to sound, appear asleep, and you went into a meditative state.
Yeah, and trying to meditate now is like so hard, but because I had a purpose and I didn't even, like you said, I didn't even know I was doing that. It happened.
Yeah, you can't recreate it because your intent is to recreate that. You probably have to start, if you want to meditate, you got to lay down, clear your mind, and like you said, focus on your breathing, and don't single in on like I really want to have. I want to experience this again. You gotta like uninvolve that. I guess, in my opinion, anyway. I'm not an expert by any means.
No, you're right, and you can't really recreate that same experience.
Yeah, that's tough.
And then try not to fall asleep when you're doing it is tough. But I did reach certain stages where I'd hear music, or I feel like I was spinning. And sometimes I'd even like have to peek out of my eye just to see, am I out of my body yet? But in reality, the feeling was so intense of being awake, like bing, more than we feel being awake here. So I guess I'd know.
Yeah, the computer in our head, I call the brain, right?
Yeah.
Think about the memory banks it has. There's songs in my life that I haven't heard in years, and I'll just walk around the house, it'll pop in my head. I'll hear it for whatever reason, unprovoked. I'll just hear that song, so your brain stores a lot of information. And when you get to a meditative state, you're basically opening up that computer to tap files that you otherwise wouldn't use. You don't bother with normally.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's why
I agree. The brain is amazing.
Yeah, that's the idea of hypnosis, right? You get your brain into a state where it's not consciously thinking of something, and it's using its memory banks, or they call the subconscious to restore a memory or restore a sound or a smell. I mean, that's so what happened with you. You put yourself into a trance and you scared yourself. So, which it's not bizarre because I'm one of these people as well. I don't like not having control over myself. It's probably why I've never gotten into drugs. I don't like not being able to control what's going on in my life. And
yeah, absolutely. I agree totally. I like to be in control. Yeah. So it is hard to let go.
And my computer defaults to logic a lot too. Like I'm one of these people, probably works against me. Like I get a cut on my finger before you know it, I'm diagnosing something. So it can become dangerous. So in all the years of exploring and researching ufology, and what have you come across with that? Or have you seen anything like UFOs or anything like that?
So many, or what I think are UFOs. I don't know whether they're ours or not ours, but it was a complete accident. I wasn't looking for them. I have a sleep disorder, so I stay awake. I'm up really late.
Right.
And I was decorating my front room. It must have been about 3:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning. And for about 4 nights, I'd heard this really, really noisy, what I thought was like a police helicopter, but it was so loud, and I just didn't know how it wasn't waking the whole of my city up. So one night, I just thought, it's just too much. The noise is just, and it sounded weird. It sounded like a broken helicopter as well. So in the end, I thought, right, I'm going to get my phone, zoom in, get the number, and ring them the next day and say, you know, hey, stop driving your noisy helicopter around. So I zoomed in. I had a little old Sony Ericsson phone and the camera on it was amazing. I zoomed in, and what I saw, I still can't believe this to this day, what I saw, but I didn't see a helicopter. And prior to this, you couldn't see anything. All you could see was like the lights. When I zoomed in, I saw, it's going to sound ridiculous. I mean, I didn't even believe it myself. I saw a disc, and over the top of it, set in recesses, were red and green lights alternating. So the fear kicked in. I was absolutely terrified. I'm such a wimp. All these experiences, and the first thing I do is terror. So I thought, well, no one's going to believe this. No, you know, I'm not even going to believe this. I've got to take a photo. So I ran around the house, turned all the lights off, and I opened my window to take a photo because it was really close. It was a couple of 100 feet above my house, and I had to hold my arm because it was shaking so much.
Yeah, the adrenaline dump.
And I know I hadn't felt adrenaline like that for years. And I took the photo, and you hear all these stories, don't you, abductions and everything. So I thought, as soon as I took the photo, there was such a massive flash. I thought, I've been seen. And it moved away as soon as I took the photo, and I ran up my stairs with my phone in my hand. I took the memory stick out, hid it under the carpet, and then got into bed.
Smart.
So
Smart.
I was thinking, they're going to come. I'm not allowed this photo. They're going to come and get it. So my adrenaline was absolutely pumping. And I didn't even remember for 3 days that this had happened, that I'd taken a photo, that I'd seen anything. And I must have just gone straight to sleep, which I find, I would have thought I'd be awake all night after that experience. So 3 days later, I've suddenly gone, yeah, that happened. So I went and found the memory stick, and I did get a photo, a very, very shaky photo, but it was what I thought I saw.
You got to share that photo with me. I got to see that.
Yeah, it is very, so the lights are elongated, but you can see they're 2 different colors.
Right.
And it's as I described. I even got some tracing paper. I printed it on A4 paper and then drew over what I saw, and it all matched up. So, but yeah, it was incredible. So that's how I got into ufology.
And since then, you've been out tracking it. What else have you tracked down and found at all?
So after that, every time I walked past my window or went outside, there'd be something in the sky. It was ridiculous. My whole family was so fed up with me, because I obviously then, started buying cameras, tripods, and I wanted to document it, everything that I saw. So that's what I did. So I've got hundreds and hundreds of photos, and I've seen, like, the Tic Tac that we've just recently been told about. I saw that in 2015. But most of my sightings have been daylight, although, quite a few in the evening as well, but they don't make as good a pictures.
Right.
photos. Yeah, just every, I'd be outside in the garden with my partner and my kids when they were younger, and there'd be a UFO in the sky, and I'd be videoing it, and they'd be like, "Come on, we've got to go shopping, put that down." And I'd have to leave so many sightings that were just so fantastic and amazing to go and do mundane things. And my family witnessed quite a few of them too.
That seems to be the case a lot. So a lot of the people I interview, again, on podcast, off podcast, it's similar. They see these things, it's whether day or night, and it's reoccurring. Where other people, they don't see, like there's the investigators that see nothing. Like, for instance, I have witnessed nothing other than one time I saw a bluish, aqua-colored orb in the sky, but there was a thunderstorm. And it was consumed. It didn't move or do anything fantastic. It was just consumed by the storm. But I just, from what it looked like and from its proximity to me, I could tell that, something was off about it. But I live close to an airport, and I have this problem.
So do I. My
brain defaults to logic. So I will battle whatever it is I saw indefinitely, or at least till I get out and do the documentary. Because I'm going to go do a documentary. I'm going to try to track down some of the paranormal and ufology stuff, and I'm going to try to document it best I can.
Well, come to my house then. Perfect place to see a UFO. So I would see them every day and video and photograph. I mean, I've got thousands and hundreds of video footage, photos of every shape, scenario you can think of. But yeah, I come here. I live right next to an airport. So yeah, it is, that's why nighttime photos are not great, because if you see a light in the sky, it could be anything, it could be a plane.
Right.
So it's got to be really, really unusual.
Yeah, for the documentary, I'm going to have to go to England. England, Israel, and lots of parts of Africa are very, very strong with sightings. And then Australia is a whole other thing. Like, their sightings it's off the charts. It's an incredible amount of sightings there.
Where are you in America?
I live in Tampa, Florida.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
Florida is like, everything crazy happens in Florida. Everything. So you never know. For me to do a documentary, and if I were to start in Florida, I'd be here for the next 5 years. I'd have to explore out first and then get back to here, because for whatever reason, everything crazy happens in Florida. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know. I've watched plenty of sightings and things in Florida.
Yeah, we got it all. So, but England interests me because some of the reports that I've read from England are just really detailed, extremely detailed. There's even a documentary I saw on YouTube, and I forget the name of it right. It's this guy, like the UFOs followed him. Like, everywhere he was, they were at any given time, at any point of the day. And
did he live in Southampton?
Yes. He has.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm jealous.
I know who you mean.
That guy made me jealous.
I can't remember his name, but I know who you mean.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I saw it on YouTube. It could be on other platforms, but watching that, and he would literally walk out with a crowd of people, and there's no way you're going to fake that with a crowd of people in the middle of the day. There's no way. It's not possible.
No, I mean,
you'd have to have an amazing budget to pull that off.
No, it's a waste of time, isn't it? Why would you bother faking UFO stuff? Everyone thinks you're crazy. It's not going to do you any favors.
Well, at that point, they're looking for YouTube views and likes and shares. That would be the only motivator at that point. Prior to YouTube, I'm not sure why they would fake it, to be honest. Just to cause hysteria? I'm not sure, because there was really you didn't make money on fakes then.
Nothing better to do.
Yeah. Like, in this day and age, I get it. You could actually make money on nonsense on YouTube. You could do it. It's possible.
Can you still make money on YouTube?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you get enough likes, if you have a fake video of an alien on YouTube, and whether people believe it or not, it's going to get viewed, and it's going to break, it's going to go viral. And then the creator of that's going to make money. It's like this.
Or the clickbait.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of it out there. Trust me. And that's why on the show I talk to investigators on both ends. I talk to the experience. I'm going to be speaking to more experiencers just to learn more about their experiences. I even talk to cops. I even talk to people at health and wellness. I mean, I don't have a specific subject I fall into, but this subject interests me. And I desperately want answers. I don't want to not have answers.
No, I know. Well, when I had quite a collection of sightings and some sightings that were well documented, I didn't know why I was seeing all these like aerial phenomena. So I thought I didn't want to put them on the internet in case it was our country's secret technology.
Right.
So I contacted the Ministry of Defence. I think it was Nick Pope. You might have heard of him.
I know exactly who that is.
Yeah. And I said, look, I've got this footage, and, you know, is it a problem if I put it out there? And he said, well, as long as you're not stood on military ground while you took the footage, that's fine. So I then waited, and I found this guy called William Trinweit. Don't know whether you've heard of him. He's a retired scientist from Canada, and he'd written something really sensible in quite a big newspaper in England. So I contacted him because he looks at like UFOs from a scientific point of view.
Right.
So I contacted him, and I sent him, well, we became quite good friends, and over the years I sent him a lot of footage, a lot of details. You know, he had me going outside, telling, you know, there was lots of stuff to work out. I had to tell him every single detail, and he analysed them. So he's got on his site lots of, maybe like 10 or 12 of my sightings where he's actually scientifically analysed them, which I thought was quite sensible. But it was almost like a relief. I wanted to get it out there. I thought, well, if I'm seeing these things, what's the reason? Am I supposed to pass this? You know, am I supposed to tell people? But that was very egotistical. I think it's because the reason I had the sightings is because I live near a weapons establishment.
Right.
And, well, you know, you've obviously heard that they keep an eye on our weapons, and, you know, they're turning them on and off. And so I think that's the only reason that I was having all these sightings. So, and then I drove my family so crazy with them that they asked me to stop. It was really hard. Every time I'd walk past a window or something, there'd be something out there, and I'd be like, no, just stop.
Well, it's like anything else. Calm down. Like let's say you get involved playing golf and you develop a bit of an obsession. I play pool, right? And when I first started playing pool and I started learning more, it became more than just something to do. You become obsessed with it. You get the best cue, you go to the best pool halls, and you practice off and off and on. And yeah, it can drive people nuts. So, but that's what they consider to be a normal thing. For you, your obsession became ufology, and your family had some pushback on that. Now, had you just been obsessed with pool, they probably wouldn't have given you any pushback, right? So it's hard for people to separate those two worlds.
Yeah, it is, because you don't want to miss an opportunity.
Right. And in your case, you're getting great photos. Forget it. I would love to have that. You know, like, yeah. I interviewed a guy, Douglas Wilson from MUFON, and he knows someone that has something called MADAR, and it's something you hook up to your computer. It's really easy to hook up, and it could register if a sighting was in and around you, or anyhow, it works like radar, but if a bunch of people have it, it could register that to that location, you know, giving some data out to a group, in fact, if that were the way to go.
That sounds good.
I mean, it's not, I've ordered one, and
oh, cool.
Why not? You know, because
send me a link.
Yeah, if it's data at the end of the day, and if you want to share that with other people, and that's the one way we're going to come to an answer. So long as there's this one thing that's saying, no doubt, that was there. It's on record. We have the data.
Well, I mean, we're not so crazy now, are we?
Right.
Because, you know, the government have said, we know about them. I personally think the Tic Tac is ours. I think it's a military submarine that can go in the sky as well, an aerial submarine.
My position, that's a little, I'll tell you why I'm a little different on that. The Tic Tac has been observed for hundreds of years. It just it fell under different names.
Yeah, I think people have called it egg-shaped before.
Well, the cigar shape, and then there was, in biblical times, they discussed something that was very long and it luminous, you know, the Tic Tac, the triangle, all the other craft people witness, it's like our cars. No car looks the same. They all have their own purpose, right? Buses, trains, smaller vehicles, they all have their own purpose. And the Tic Tac might be like a large vessel that transports. And I was just discussing this with another MUFON member not long ago. The sightings that they had for the U.S. pilots, where they saw something at 80,000 feet and it dropped down to 0 feet above the water. And then there's something under the water that was obviously present. So what I think it's like almost like maybe an elevator system. They come from space. They get lowered down to the water. Whatever's in the water takes them from that point to a city that potentially could be under the water somewhere. So those are some of the ideas I have. And that's theory, right? There's no science to what I'm saying. It's just what I imagine. Because I had to try to rationalize why the hell is something coming into the atmosphere going right to the surface of the water, and then there's something already under the water, right? So when David Fravor spotted that craft, you could see what he thought was something very large underwater already with the Tic Tac above it circling around it.
Yeah.
So then, so then try to imagine it's bringing some being or something down from whatever's above 80,000 feet down to the surface. They're boarding this vessel that's underwater. The underwater vessels take them to, again, potentially a city or something, some structure underwater that we can't get to.
Or are they coming from Antarctica?
Look, Antarctica is unexplored as far as I know, so anything's possible. Like, I know we don't live there because it's not that it's inhabitable.
Amazed.
It's a pain in the ass.
I'm amazed by Antarctica. Absolutely amazed. And there's a lot there that we obviously don't know about that they do. But do you not wonder why the government has all of a sudden made an announcement about the Tic Tac? That's what makes me think it's theirs.
I think the reason that happened, personally, is because that particular incident just had way too many witnesses. And you can only silence so many. And then eventually, and it's, with today's technology on these aircraft, you can only do so much to suppress it so much. And then here's the other factor. Maybe they felt, well, this is time. We're going to spoon feed the facts to these people so they don't freak out. We'll give them this. And you'll notice since 2017, disclosure happened, and it was a really safe disclosure, by the way. But disclosure happened in 2021 of June. Those videos were released in 2017. You're talking years later. And then the next spoon feed we're going to get, who knows?
Drip feeding us, aren't they?
Right, yeah. So it could essentially be 2 decades from now before we actually know any real facts. And even then, how much are they going to tell us? Look, they're within their right. I don't totally agree, but I don't totally disagree because we don't get along with each other. I say this a lot. I don't want to, play a broken record, but we're still racist. We still have political reasons to separate. We still have religious reasons to separate. Yeah.
Religion is the problem. Yeah, since the day we began, we've been fighting over religion, having wars. Nothing's changed.
So, yeah, I mean, imagine a world where people have no reason to get along with one another or more reasons to divide, and then they're going to introduce a new race? No way.
But wouldn't, like Reagan said, wouldn't that stop all that?
Well, under threat, it would. Right? Yeah. And it would be temporary. Like, here's how it would work. You ever watch the movie from the 90s, Independence Day?
Yeah.
So here's what would happen. We would have a threat from somewhere else. And yes, we'd have no choice but to come together. But this has happened before. Let's go back to the Greeks when they were under fire from the empire of the Persians. At that time, the Athenians and the Spartans, they didn't get along. They hated each other. They wanted dominance over their area, right? All in that entire Greek community could not stand each other until the Persian army started rolling up. And then they had to come together, and come together they did, right? But immediately after the Persian threat was over, it was back to, well, this is my land. No, that's my land. They were right back to that. So now you have current times. Let's say aliens come. They're here. They're not here to say hello. They're here to take our stuff, and we go to war with them. Well, what ends up happening is we will bind together, use our best technology, fight them off the best we could, and if we win, we're going to go right back to America and then China. We're going to separate again because it's the nature of us. It's unfortunate.
I believe that the reason they're keeping it from us is because They don't want to share the technology
Well,
that they know about.
you could have a point there because, well, here's another thing too. GPS has been around a long time. It wasn't a practical application for civilians till late 90s, but it's been around well longer than that. Same with the cell phone technology. Been around well longer than that. There's been technologies around that have been around way longer than introduction to the general public. It's and I think their idea behind that is that, can they handle this, like these kind of changes? If you take a cell phone from today and go back to, just the 1980s, an accepting decade like the 80s. The 80s were very accepting of technology. And you introduce today's cell phone to them, it would blow someone's mind. And some people would have pushback. And even in the 1980s, some people would think you're a witch just for using a cell phone. So
I remember when back in 2000 or just before that in the 90s, hearing that one day we'd have a phone where you can actually see the person you're talking to. And I remember thinking, that's crazy. That's how will that happen? But here it is. And it's just, we take it for granted now. But yeah, no, you're right. And where did the technology come from? It
came from somewhere. It just, again, like the spoon feeding factor. Like, well, don't give them everything at once, because then we got to integrate.
Make some money, haven't they? They got to make the money.
Well, yeah, that's a big one. Corporate. They got to make sure corporate America is ready to roll this product out, make a dime off of it. But outside of that, it's hard to introduce newer, grander technology then, maybe. All right, more than. These days, different story. Our phone that we just bought is not good enough yet. Even though it's the brand new one. It's like, this is crap. I need a new one. When's the new one coming? That's how our mind is now. It wasn't like that then, but now it is.
Yeah. I know. I agree. What phone have you got now?
I don't know. I have the I have the Pixel 5, the Google Pixel 5, which I really like. Although I cracked it already, but took no effort, might add. So for ufology moving forward, obviously you got a bunch of photos, which by all means share with me. I'll post them if you like, or if you want.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
What direction are you going to go in now for? Because Douglas, if you listen to the episode that I have with Douglas Wilson on the channel some couple of weeks ago, he's the lead investigator for MUFON in the United States. And he makes suggestions on what equipment and instruments to use. And I strongly suggest anyone that wants to research UFOs, listen to that and get the equipment. I'm gonna, before I do the documentary, I have my primary camera I'm going to record with, but I'm definitely going to get some of the equipment he noted, because it's only going to help me in the field.
Yeah. Especially infrared and.
Yeah. And in film fed cameras for photography.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to go in the direction of witchcraft.
So that's the next adventure, witchcraft?
I think so.
When you get good when you learn as much as you can of that, come right back on, because we'll talk about it. I will. I know nothing about it. So.
I know nothing about it either, apart from we are told it is bad, it's dangerous. So I'm starting to think that's not true. And, what they don't want us to go near, that's what they will tell us, don't go near that. But it could be the key to
perhaps
successful life, happiness. It could be, there could be a lot of good in it. And that's what I want to explore.
I think the reason they say stay away from it, I'll tell you why. Here's what I think. Imagine a human being that's capable of using the full potential of their brain and the powers that are there. That you could, like, imagine being like a Jedi. You could move things with your mind. You could change people's mind. Should every human have that? No. There's some bad people on this planet that should definitely not have that.
Yeah, but look what they're doing without it, or we don't know they're not using it. I mean, I'm anti-government.
Well, look, I get that, but here, picture this in your head. Think about the guy. All right, let me put this in a different form. Imagine the con artists of the world, the people that are trying to get your money. They're going to say whatever they can to say to you to get your money. Now, you give that con artist black magic or witchcraft, and now they could compel people to give them their money. They would destroy the planet. They're motivated by greed. You know what I mean? So there should definitely be a balance.
Maybe that is what's happening.
I don't know. When it comes to corporate America, I don't doubt they've explored every avenue to make more money. So there's no doubt in my mind. If you told someone in corporate America they could use witchcraft to get more money, in a heartbeat, they're doing it. They're not going to consider the outcome. But in any event, Claire,
is that human? Is that a human trait to be that way?
Well, I think so.
Like they have no compassion.
I mean, if
you ever listened to David Icke?
No, I'd have to see. Someone else mentioned him. I'm going to have to listen.
He's an absolute legend. He's been talking for, I don't know, 20, 30 years, maybe even longer, but everything's come to fruition. Everything he's talked about is right. He's,
like a Nostradamus type person, huh?
Well, not really, because what he said is he explained it as people like Nostradamus or George Orwell or people like that. They're not psychic and they're not seeing into the future. These are things that have been planned for years and years and years, and people know about it, and that's how predictions are made, or how people can predict things, or we see it as witchcraft, or they're predicting, but really it's just known about. And if you get the tail end of it and then start researching it, everything's there.
Yeah,
but you must listen to David Icke.
I'll check it out. I spoke to Donna Haynes, and she's into astrology, and she's got a really powerful perception of herself as well. And she states a lot of the same thing, better applications to read and forecast what's to come. I think ignorance prevents us from doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you been vaccinated?
I was. For me, nothing happened. I got the 2 shots, and I didn't feel like some of the things people are saying they felt. I didn't feel anything at all. Like my arm was sore a little bit, but I work out a lot. And so by the time I did, like right after the shot was done, I did, like a day later, it's like I'd never had it done. So it's bizarre.
Yeah.
I live life in a very simple way, right? Wake up, enjoy the day as much as possible. Same with the evening.
Live the moment then.
Yeah, because tomorrow, who knows? You don't know what tomorrow has. Yeah. I mean, and if you did, it would drive you crazy. There's no way I could be psychic because it would drive me nuts. I would lose. I'm already I overthink everything currently. Imagine having the knowledge of everything. That's impossible. I couldn't do it. I'm more fascinated in learning the interesting stuff, right?
Yeah. No, I think that the minute we die or pass or leave this body, that is when we have the knowledge of everything. Or we have it anyway. It's just not unlocked. It's all there in our brain. We know everything, I'm sure.
Yeah, or you could definitely learn everything. I mean, if you apply. I mean, I watched countless hours of document. If they had Jeopardy, if they had Jeopardy for useless information, I'd probably win, right? Because it's useless information. So.
Yeah, but it's not, because documentaries is informative, so it's definitely not useless.
It is, but how many people are around talking about the different variations of spiders and why they exist, right?
Oh, not a good subject. Not a good subject.
Yeah, I don't know why. Insect documentaries, I'm fascinated by them. Like insects are.
Oh, are you? You're not scared of them?
No, not well. I'm not saying I'd cuddle one, but learning about them, I'm okay with learning about them. Like you see this cat. You ever see what a camel spider looks like?
No, but I did go on a spider. I went on a camel, and somebody asked while I was on the camel, "Do camels really have spiders?" I was horrified.
Listen,
I guess they're the same color as the camel. They're massive and they blend. Oh,
if you ever want an idea of what, so most people say things like, "Oh, that's made up," or it's fictional, or it's too far to comprehend. Just look at a camel spider and understand that's real.
Oh, I'm too scared to even look at one on my phone.
That is the strangest creature I'd observed ever.
Are they big?
I don't know if they get really big. Good tarantula sized. They get tarantula sized for the most part.
That's huge.
But they're pretty they're pretty aggressive. That's the other thing too. It's not like they just hunt and they're benign. They hang out. They're aggressive. They're like super energized cheetahs of the insect world or the arachnid world.
That's horrible.
So,
that's really horrible. And do they actually live on camels?
No, they live in a desert. That they got the name.
So
they got the name
camels.
camel spider because the color of their body and they live in deserts. That's where they got the name from. And they can retain water. They don't need water to survive. They can retain water for a long time. But they're goddamn creepy to look at. They are. I tell you now, whoever designed the Predator from the Predator movies had that thing in mind. Promise.
Oh, that's so horrible. Oh no, it couldn't get worse.
Anyway, Claire, I had a good time talking with you.
Yeah, same. Thanks for inviting me, and yeah, it's been great.
Indeed, we'll talk again. I assure you that much. Especially when you learn about witchcraft, let me know.
Absolutely.
Have a good evening.
Don't forget, Claire. David Icke.
David Icke. I'm going to look it up and make sure you send me those images.
Absolutely, will do.
Take care, Claire.
Okay, you too. Thanks. Bye.